Lesson 8.1. Chapter 8 is a special chapter because it combines some things that we've already talked about, like proportions and triangles, and we're going to learn some new things like trigonometry and geometric mean and vectors, which you will use next year and in pre-calculus. So if you don't quite get it this chapter, it's okay. It's the first time that you probably have seen it. So it's more for exposure than it is for mastery. So just remember, don't get discouraged. It's okay. Lesson 8.1 is a new word, geometric mean. Well, what does the geometric mean mean? We're going to write it like this. It is a ratio of two numbers, A and B. What's special about these two numbers is that when you set up their proportion, it comes out like this. A over X equals X over B. You'll notice there's two X's. So when you go to solve it, you're going to have an X squared equation. So X is always going to equal the square root of A times B. So we use this a lot in triangles and finding out side lengths. So let's practice doing a geometric mean. The geometric mean between 2 and 50. So if I set this up, 2 over X equals X over 50, and I cross multiply, I get X squared equals 2 times 50, or X squared equals 100. I need just X, so we have to square root X squared and square root 100. So that's where this comes from, because the square root of X squared is X. So X equals the square root of 100, which is 10. Very good. Alright, number 2. Let's practice what we learned last chapter about similar triangles. To write a similarity statement, we're going to have 3 triangles we are comparing. So let's start with this big triangle, okay? And I'm going to start with F first, because that's the right angle. So triangle F, and then I'm going to go up here to E, and then to G. FEG. So it's similar to, if I look at this small triangle, notice this one right here, that's a right angle. So in my next triangle, I need a right angle. So in this triangle right here, H is my right angle. Okay? E is the same angle as it was in the big triangle. So E is going to come next, and then F last. And now we're going to look at the last triangle, this one right here, F, H, and G. So remember, I started with my right angle. Where's my right angle in this triangle? It's right here, angle H again. So H, okay. Now, do I put F or G first? Notice G is the same as in the big triangle. So G in the big triangle was last. G is going to be last in this triangle right here. So H, F, G. When you're writing a similarity statement, order matters. I will be checking the order of your letters. If you must make sure that you look at your letters. Okay, example 3. Example 3 uses theorem 8.2 and 8.3 which are on page 533 of your book, to solve for these missing side lengths. We're going to solve for them using the geometric mean. Okay, so the first letter to solve for is E. E is easiest to solve for. And letter E, if you look at Theorem 8.2, says it is the geometric mean between your two sides right here, 6 and 24. So on our calculator, we are going to figure out what 6 times 24 is and take the square root of that. So E is the square root of 144, which we all know is 12. So E is 12. Okay, the next easiest side is going to be this side right here, JK, side D. We're going to use Theorem 8.3 because this is a leg. And it says that it is the geometric mean of this piece right here, 6, and the whole length. Well, 6 and 24, we need to add those together. So we have to multiply 6 times 30. So in our calculator, we get the square root of 180, and we're going to round that to the nearest tenth. So that's 13.4 for side D. Our last side, side C, this top leg, KL. Same theorem, and it says we're going to take this piece, LM, which is 24, and multiply that by the whole thing and take the geometric mean. So 24 times 30. We need to find the square root of 720. Put it in our calculator, and we will get about 26.8 for side C. Okay. Turn the page and let's look at the kite. Last example. Example 4, and I'm sorry, Brendan, I did not mean to type your name because this is about a girl. I meant to type Amber. You can make it any other name that you want. Anyways, so example 4, you want to find this whole long piece right here. We know the short piece and we know the other side. So what I see is I see a triangle. And I see a problem very similar to the one that we just had, where we know the altitude and we know a piece of the leg. So if I take this piece right here, 7.25, that goes right here. Now, this altitude right here, it's half of 27. So I have to think, how much is that? And that is 13.5. What I want to find is the whole length. So think about what we did. We used geometric mean to find the altitude. So 13.5 equals the square root of 7.25 times x. This is Theorem 8.2 that we're using. How can I solve for x? Well, I got a square root, so what's the opposite? The opposite is squaring, so I need to square 13.5. Do not round your answers. Okay, now I have a simple one-step equation. How can I solve it? I can divide by 7.25, and I get a pretty large number, 25.1, we're going to round it to 4, equals x. Now that's just that little piece. I want to know the length of the whole thing. So the long rod is actually our answer that we got of 25.14 plus 7.25. Our answer, you should get about 32.39 inches for your answer. Okay, now notice down here at the bottom now, you're going to see this in chapter 8 because there's a lot of new stuff in this chapter. These little red boxes are kind of like your cliff notes to the lesson. What was the lesson about? The meat and potatoes, the very important things. So this is what you need to make sure you know about lesson 8.1.